Hello, I'm Russell Brand. As you can see, I'm English. This is the Trews. In this edition of the Trews, we're looking at media mogul Rupert Murdoch's analysis of climate change. Rupert Murdoch, given he owns most of the media, don't often crop up on it.
Rupert Murdoch, congratulations on 50 years of The Australian.
So in this episode of the Trews, we'll look at Murdoch, see if we can understand what he's saying and why he's saying it. Because in this one, he's one of them climate change deniers, isn't he? I don't into climate change. But there is one, because there's loads of scientific evidence supporting the fact. Let's have a look at what old Rupert's saying.
Now, one of the great issues the paper's been wrestling with in recent years is the balance between environmental concerns, climate change concerns on the one hand, and the need on the other hand to
make money all the time without worrying about climate change, because it doesn't matter to you if there is a climate change, because you'll be dead soon.
Maintain a competitive economy and to ensure that costs don't escalate too much. What's the way one should approach this? What's the way Australia should approach this issue?
We should approach climate change with great scepticism.
Approach it with scepticism. That's helpful, if anything. Before you start speaking, I want you to know I've approached you with scepticism. Yeah, but alright. But hopefully you'll be fine though, because of all the evidence. No, because I've already got this scepticism that makes me unassailable to things like facts.
Climate change has been going on as long as the planet is here.
Yeah, I mean, climates do change, mate. I mean, and weather changes, but what we're talking about here is a clear, traceable relationship between the behaviour of man, specifically with industry and carbon dioxide and monoxide emissions, and a chartable rising of the planet's temperature. So don't try and wank us off with that. Oh, it's always changing. One day it's rainy, the next day it's snowy. People like that. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to build a snowman on Christmas Day and lay on the beach in summer. I'm Australian, I can do both those things the same day. But my point is, the climate has always changed. No, Rupert, we're talking about industry, but we can rely on you to be unbiased, so carry on.
There'll always be a little bit of it. At the moment, the North Pole is melting a bit, but the South Pole is getting bigger.
The North Pole's got littler, but the South Pole's getting bigger. How many poles do you want? Like, don't try and balance out the poles. But, well, firstly, I've got a bit of information here. The Arctic is losing sea ice 10 times faster than the Antarctic is gaining it. So it's not like a direct relationship, is it? Like, that one of them is losing ice 10 times faster than the other one's gaining it. So it's irrelevant, one, and then 9 times worse.
Things are happening, but how much are we doing? With emissions and so on. Well, as far as Australia goes, nothing in the overall picture.
You know, like when you're a little kid, the cliche of like you take your ball in when you've got to go in, because he knows he's got to go in, he's taking his ball in. But the ball is the planet that we're all living in.
In terms of the world's temperature going up, the worst aspect, the most alarmist things have said maybe 3%, 3 cents, 3, sorry.
Right, Rupert, learn the actual measurement. It's 3 centigrade in the next 100 years. Right, what they're saying is, the worst case scenario is that it could go up by 4 centigrade in the next century. All of that would be human caused. The best case scenario would involve about 1 centigrade global surface warming over the next century, and that's if we take serious action. But like Australia, the country where Rupert Murdoch's got a huge amount of power through his media outlets, has just removed carbon tax. So he's got a lot of power, dear old Rupert, and he's using it really badly.
Now, what it means is that if the sea level rises 6 inches, that's a big deal in the world. The Maldives might disappear or something.
It's not very good if you're in the Maldives, is it? It's a big deal. The Maldives might disappear or something. So what? I went there for my honeymoon with Wendy Deng and we didn't have a very nice time.
We can't mitigate that. We can't stop it.
You can stop it. That's what people are saying. Stop it. They're saying by changing our behaviours, it will have a direct impact on this, on the consequences of climate change. So that's not true what you're saying there, Rupert.
We just got to stop building vast houses on seashores.
I've never built a vast house on the seashore. That's not the problem. It might be for you, Rupert. Right? What? There's going to be no seashore. I'm going to build a house on the hill now. Rupert, that's not the solution, mate. The consequences are more far-reaching than that. What about those hurricanes and storms and the impact on agriculture and on populations the world over? It's having terrible, terrible impacts. It's not just your feet are going to get wet when you're on holiday in the Maldives.
And go back a little bit. The world has been changing for thousands and thousands of years.
Well, yeah, change is happening. The world isn't staying the same for thousands and thousands of years. What we're talking about is a human-inspired impact because of our industrial and chemical practices. People like them Rupert Murdoch and all them, I've met a few of them now. What it is they're really good at one thing, like getting their will put across, but they're basically blithering blood idiots. Like, that's just believing something because you want to believe it, isn't it? If someone goes, say you wear like a jacket and you look a bit of a dick in it, you go, someone, I look a bit of a dick in this jacket, and they're all terrified of you. Everyone goes, no, you look great in that jacket, but you still look a dick in the jacket. Rupert Murdoch, through sheer willpower, is forcing his opinion on an entire planet through a variety of media. For what reason is he doing this? Why is he determined to believe something that's patently untrue just because he wants to believe it?
It's just a lot more complicated today.
Don't fucking do that, patronising. It's more complicated. Look at that. Do you see the gesture that accompanies it? Go back down there. Shut up. Go down onto the ground where you don't have an opinion. Go down under the ground. Don't stay there, though, because it's all going to be flooded.
I interpret from that answer that you're concerned that Australia might get trapped into a series of decisions on climate change which might disadvantage its economy.
It's not Australia's economy he's interested in. It's his Rupert Murdoch economy is the only thing he cares about. Yeah, it's very expensive for me. But what do you think's going to happen when he dies, dear old Rupert? Like when he's laying down on his little deathbed? Does he think he's like, good, I made as much money as I possibly could have done. Good night. Oh no! At some point he's going to realise that that's only a narrow milieu of the realm of being is profiteering, which you've done well at. Well done. But what about all of the other stuff? Also, like his sort of non-interventionist attitude towards the world's always getting hotter, colder, changing. Well, clearly something's wrong. Should we do nothing? Like when Rupert Murdoch got prostate cancer in 2000, didn't he go, just leave it. I'm always getting cancer and then losing cancer. That's just part of the natural fluctuations of life. An intensive course of radiotherapy. He intervened. He took action to prevent him dying. The Earth is similarly an anatomy, a body, a sphere that requires help and treatment. He'd do it for himself, he'd do it for his family, he just knows it won't impact him personally, so he ain't bothered. But that's a really odd way to see things.
Well, you mentioned the former Labor government. Well, you mentioned...
No, we shouldn't be building windmills and all that rubbish.
The other thing with Rupert Murdoch, he's not talking from a neutral position. You sort of think, Rupert Murdoch's in the media world, so they have a natural allegiance to other capitalist they have natural allegiances to other capitalist enterprises, but also he's got stakes in Jimi Oil, Gas Inc. and Shale Oil Company LLC. He's invested in there not being a climate change. He don't want there to be a climate change because if there is, it's going to cost him a load of money. Very directly because of his stakes in Jimi Oil, Gas Inc. and Shale Oil Company LLC, but more broadly because there'll have to be measures imposed on corporations to prevent a society structured around elitist privilege and a society structured around ecological responsibility. So he's got a lot invested, both personally and directly. You can check this for yourself. You can't trust a geezer who's making money out of climate change on the subject of climate change. You can't trust what he says in his papers on the subject. He benefits directly from it. In indigenous cultures, if someone cared about resources more than human beings, you'd think they weren't very well. You'd wrap them up in a blanket and just say, don't let him make any decisions. He's gone wrong. Here, he's allowed to be in charge of almost everything. So it's all right for Rupert Murdoch to be like that, but we have to create structures and systems that prevent that kind of mentality prevailing. Bye, Rupert. You sleep now, you're tired. No, I'm not. Come back. I've got another opinion. Shh.
A tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the news. If the news was true, I want some Trews. Let's have some Trews.